7, 8, 9.
Good evening and welcome to Chlorine, Callaloo, live on Trinbago Freestyles, our Facebook page. Thank you for those joining us. If this is your first show, thank you very much for joining us. This is episode number 3 of Chlorine, Callaloo. And if you're asking why Chlorine, Callaloo, well, we discuss anything that happens in a swimming pool. So we could discuss swimming, water polo, competitive swimming, learn to swim, recreational swimming, triathlon, and even dragon boats. And our first segment today will be featuring the Trailblazers dragon boat team, and they'll be in our first segment, which we call Callaloo Chronicles. Right. So we're getting ready for our first set of guests. And these two persons are from the Trailblazers Dragon Boat team. Good evening, Mr. Timothy. This is Mr. Stephen Timothy. He is the coach of Trailblazers. And then we have Miss Natalie Howe, also of Trailblazers. Good evening.
Hi, good evening, everybody.
Good evening and welcome. Let's start with you, Mr. Timothy. Can you tell us something about the Dragon Boat Club Trailblazers? When you formed, the membership, any information you think is pertinent?
The Trailblazers was formed from On the Move with Mike Fitness Club.
Right.
I asked Michael, who was the fitness instructor for his club, if he will consider Dragon Boat.
Right.
And when he conquered, we joined the Dragon Boat Federation in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
We have a complement of 30 members.
Right.
30 members. The average age is around 30.
Right.
Persons from 15 to 30, and from 35 to 50.
All right. And so, Natalie,
Hi.
how long have you been involved in this Dragon Boat as a paddler?
But the team started in 2015. I joined in 2016. So it's 4 years to be.
4 years. And how you like it or you love it?
I would say I'm loving it because I'm still here.
You're still here?
I'm still here, yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, Mr. Timothy, coming back to you a little bit. I know in the middle of coming out of this COVID-19 dilemma, and I know you all may not have been able to train as you would. What have you all done during these times to keep fit, keep your players, paddlers engaged?
Well, we encourage persons to train at home because of the restrictions outside. We also had Zoom training where the instructor will have gone live and members will have been and do some aerobic sessions via Zoom. Also, we used to use the WhatsApp chat where the instructor will indicate different exercise to do, and members, will have done that at their convenience. Also, members will have put place challenge on the chat for the members to compete against.
So you're hoping when they come out they're strong.
Yes, we were trusted to know that they keep active, so that they don't put on extra weight when they come back out to weigh down the boat.
So wait on the boat. Natalie, have any comments about Natalie? Have any comments about that?
Well, the thing is, we're trying our best to keep the COVID weight off. So we're doing our little parts in little pockets, little bit of aerobic exercises, to try as best to maintain good health and also to, not put the body in too much of a remission.
And so Natalie, normally with Dragon Boat, you all have like mixed teams. Is there a female section, male section? How does it work? And how is it for you as a woman in the sport and tussling up with the guys?
Whew. Well, the dragon boat is a sport that involves both male and females.
Right.
The females actually have equal weighting as the males in the sport itself.
Right.
So I mean, like, as a female in the sport of dragon boat racing, it's a little bit challenging because I mean it's pound for pound, weight for weight activity, male and female, head and head, same thing. So I mean, like, we have to work just as hard to be selected. And as my coach always says, you select yourself to be on the team, and that's based on your training.
Mr. Timothy, does Natalie work hard?
Yes, very much so. Actually, she's our franchise paddler.
She's a what?
Our franchise paddler. Yes.
Our franchise paddler.
Yes.
So with the Dragon Boat and Dragon Boat experience, I mean, I guess you will want to get more people involved in this sport, Mr. Timothy. What would you say to encourage persons to get involved in Dragon Boat, and probably you could tell them how they could get involved in Trailblazers?
Okay, well, first I want to say that the sport is a very fun sport, very challenging and very holistic. If persons wish to get involved in the Dragon Boat, we are at Center of Excellence, as you are aware, on a Thursday. On a Monday we are at Aranguez, Savannah, doing some aerobic training, and also on a Tuesday we are at the CLX gym, doing strength training. And on Sunday, we at Kayak Center in Chaguaramas, where we do our boat training.
All right, so you have a full schedule. And Natalie,
Hi.
What can you say to encourage females to get involved in Dragon Boat in particular?
Well, to all the females out there who are interested in a competitive sport that fosters community, that fosters camaraderie, team spirit, while you are, building your strength mentally and physically, Dragon Boat is the sport for you, and we would welcome you to the Trailblazers Dragon Boat team and the sport in general.
Thank you, Natalie. Mr. Timothy, I mean, in every sport, I mean, there are challenges. What are some of the challenges that you all may have, and maybe what you do to overcome them, to overcome those challenges?
Some of the challenges we have is one which the sports need to be marketed and promoted more.
Right.
So that there'll be more awareness in the national community.
Right.
Secondly, there need to be more regattas. Currently, we have there's 3 regattas, and we need to have about 5 to 6 regattas to really keep the fraternity alive.
Mm-hmm.
Thirdly, we have the situation with respect to the rental of the boats. The rental of the boat is quite expensive, and it will really take a toll on the coffers of the various clubs.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some of the main challenges we have with respect to the Dragon Boat fraternity.
And people may find it strange, and either one of you all could answer. Some people may find it strange that, okay, well, Dragon Boaters are by a pool. I mean, aren't you all not supposed to be by the sea? What do you all really do by the pool?
At the pool, we focus on technique and our technical work to be able to make improvement with our stroke and timing. So we spend a lot of time focusing on form and technique at the pool. So when we go on the boat, we will have been in a position which we will have enhanced the stroke to such a measure that we'll be more effective when we're on the boat paddling.
All right, and final question, and this one is open-ended. I mean, your final plug to get people to get involved in Dragon Boat. What do you have to tell Trinidad and Tobago? Anybody?
Well, I think something that I always tell everybody is that Dragon Boat is the ultimate team sport. I mean, like, there's no other sport where every member has to, you're asking people to share a vision, to align themselves to a vision, of a team. And,
Right.
it is the ultimate team sport in terms of it builds so much character, it builds community, while you are, of course, getting fit physically and mentally. So, and it embraces male and female on an equal playing field. So, what more do you want in a sport that is competitive? So, I would welcome the public of Trinidad and Tobago to join a Dragon Boat, join the fraternity, and also to join Innovators Dragon Boat team.
Thank you, Natalie Howe and Stephen Timothy. Thank you very much for coming on. If by some chance you all did not get the contact numbers, if you see the ticker tape at the bottom of the screen, you will see the contact numbers up all night. So we hope that Trailblazers get some calls and we get people getting involved in Dragon Boat. So thank you, Mr. Timothy, and thank you, Ms. Natalie Howe.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
No problem. So that was Natalie Howe and Stephen Timothy, both of the Dragon Boat Club Trailblazers. Now we'll go into our mental health segment.
Your thoughts and self-talk can make you or break you. Once you believe you are something, you actually embody it. You embody that feeling. How you see yourself is how others will see you. The value you put on yourself is the value the world will put on you. Being successful in life is all about having the proper belief system of who you are. Truly believing that you are something unique, that you are something special as a swimmer, as a coach, as a parent is only the starting point. If you truly believe inside of you that you are one of the best swimmers in the world, your mindset will be transformed. Your mindset will be entirely different than if you're like, I don't think I'm good enough. I hope I'm good. If you are unsure about who you are, about what you can do, about reaching your full potential, achieving your dreams, your goals, they will never become your reality. Everyone has mental blocks in life, the internal conflicts. Even the most successful people that you look up to, Michael Phelps, the American swimmer who was the most decorated athlete in the Olympic history with 28 medals, and that included a record 23 golds. He opened up about his struggle with anxiety and depression, but he don't allow it to prevent him from achieving his goals. He did not allow it to prevent him from reaching his full potential. It's how you handle those negative thoughts in the exact moment. It's your ability to overwhelm them with positive action, how you deal with the crisis as they arise, and you're able to see the opportunities within them. That is what makes the difference. And that comes with believing in who you are, having confidence in yourself, and knowing that you can handle any situation. You are able to trust in your abilities and know that you were born to win. Be confident. Believe in you. I didn't know how long it was going to take. It took 16 years to move from an associate degree to a doctorate. I didn't know how long it was going to take. But let me tell you something. I believed in me. I never gave up and I never gave in. Today it is your day to step out and step towards achieving your goals. Today it's your day to step out and achieve your full potential. Don't let the opportunity pass you by, and don't live in the shadows of someday. I am Salyan Barrett, motivational speaker, founder, and director at Stratoza Coaching and Consulting Limited. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much from Stratoza Consultancy for our mental massage. And now we go into a segment we call Chase Justice. Right, good evening again. So I would have posted earlier during the week the topic with regards to Jace Justice. And recently on one of the a website platform, a news website, we had two articles on a website called Wired 868, which dealt with water polo in Trinidad and Tobago. And where we had Ryan Smith, who is a veteran in the sport, as in a veteran administrator, etc., who intimated certain concerns and problems that he had, or his perceptions of problems that they had in the association. Now, I have been a member of the executive in the past, and when I read the article, I was actually taken aback because, to my knowledge and from my involvement, and honestly, if you would ask most swimming people what they think, they would say that they believe that water polo gets preference over swimming, right? So when I read the article, I was taken aback and I mentioned as such to the writer. And then we saw the response from the Amateur Swimming Association of Trinidad and Tobago, which seemed to try to defend every single point that Mr. Smith and Mr. Smith laid out. And after I read the two articles, I felt like I was no closer to understanding the situation. Even though I have knowledge of the situation, I was no, and a member of the public would want to know what's going on because no one knows what the truth is. The truth is that pride, politics, personal agendas, personalities, and power too often supersede the athletes. From reading the two articles, you can see it clear that the lines of communication between the parties and within the association as a whole is non-existent. And some of the points raised, it did not even, when the response that was issued, it did not even invite someone like Ryan Smith, who has volunteered for 25 years plus in this sport, um, and his knowledge and his input could be used to formulate a proper policy when it comes to water polo. And the response that was forthcoming did not even engage that possibility of having some kind of discussion or some kind of dialogue. It's basically I'm right and I'm right. And that's part of the reason we do not go forward as we should. Because too often we look at the faces of the people that are involved and we forget about the athletes that are in the water. And this is 2020. We had enough time to reflect during COVID. It is totally unnecessary for athletes to be given the back burner and for adults who and administrators in the sport to be stroking their egos as opposed to taking care of the athlete's stroke in the water. Too much time for that, too much time has passed for that. Let's sit down, get to the meat of the matter. Those in the fraternity know what the meat of the matter is, and we keep keeping it under the carpet. Let's get together and get the fraternity working, or you continue having mediocre, giving them a mediocre product and mediocre service to the athletes of Trinidad and Tobago. And that today is base justice. good evening. So Sherelle Thompson, good evening to you.
Hi, Jason. Good night.
Right,
Good
so
night.
Sherelle Thompson is here with us, and Sherelle was a 2020 Olympic qualifier, but during the course of COVID, we would have seen Sherelle putting out some information where she was trying to do a research on why athletes would quit the sport and retire from the sport. Sherelle, tell us what really motivated you to do this and what are you trying to achieve from this?
Well, the COVID-19 pandemic would have been something that really shook everybody, athletes included, and first having our lives, or a big part of our lives, taken away from us. I reached out to a few of the older swimmers in the sport and connected with them over the time period while we were home, and just wanted to form a group of us first to encourage each other while we're going through the quarantine, and first to be able to stay engaged and ready to continue once the pools reopen. And out of the interaction with those swimmers, I started to think more broadly about the rest of the swimming community, and the fact that not just for the older swimmers, but the younger swimmers as well, they might be susceptible to falling away from the sport for a number of different reasons. And instead of just, leaving it as a perception and what I assume to be the reasons that swimmers fall away from the sport, I decided to put out a survey to past swimmers, firstly, to understand really what were the trends, what in the past would have caused swimmers to fall away from the sport, and to see if there was any cycles in the attrition rates. So the results of it were really interesting. And one of the things too is, apart from just getting the information, I put in the survey questions for people to make suggestions and to really be solution oriented after realizing, okay, these are the challenges that we face or we have faced. What could we do about it? What would we have done differently if we had the opportunity to? Things like that. So I would say it was a really good start. And over the past week, I've started to share some of the information that I found from the survey on my Facebook page.
Okay. And I'm guessing one of the reasons here is because this is our process. You're still gathering information, etc., right? So
yes.
Well, I do have your Instagram hashtag any ticker tape below. So I'm guessing if persons want to contact you and contribute to this survey, that they can message you there or on other platforms as well?
Yes, if there are any past swimmers listening tonight and you haven't filled out the survey, I'd really appreciate if you would fill out the survey. It is posted on my Facebook page. And also, if after completing the survey you have interest in being a part of the initiatives that will come out of it, I don't have a full picture right now, but my intention is to see what is within my control or what is in my ability to influence, to help, help stir the water so as change for the better for myself and the future athletes in swimming. So if you want to be a part of whatever is going to come out of it, please contact me as well.
Thank you very much, Sherelle. One more question. I did happen to glimpse there was another survey that you had going around circulating in the community as well. So probably you could tell us about that.
Right, there is a second one for parents, for current parents of swimmers. That one was intended to understand what are the challenges that parents have in supporting their athletes, because swimmers drop out of the sport from the time they turn 18. That's when you have the biggest dropout, from after 15 to 17. And before the parents have a huge control, huge influence in the athlete's experience, and even kind of they set the tone for the trajectory that they are on. So if you have a parent who is really ambitious, more ambitious than the child, and that rolls over negatively in the way that they communicate with them. That could affect them negatively. But the survey itself was to understand what are the challenges that parents believe that they have in supporting their athletes. And again, out of that, I will see what is within my control to maybe share information and put it within the public realm of those who may be even more capable than I am to influence change.
Thank you very much, Sherelle. I mean, thank you very much, too, for taking that step. A lot of us sit aside and see things happen and do nothing about it. And you're still an athlete, still in a sport, and you didn't wait till after to try to do something. We will keep in touch. And we know Sherelle will be coming back up with us when we interview Siobhan Cropper. Thank you, Sherelle, and see you soon again.
Okay.
Right, so that was Sherelle. That was Sherelle Thompson. Up next, we go into our Coach's Conscience segment.
What a minute. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, a pretty interesting conversation with Sherelle just now. As we discussed last week, we have a very, very high dropout rate in swimming. Very high. I mean, there's a gap from 15 years to roughly 18 years where we are just fed up of it, right? Because it has consumed our life, totally consumed our life. Outside of school, on the rare occasions we get evening off, it's all about swimming. And as a coach, I think for the coaches out there watching, I mean, the name of the segment is Coach's Conscience, but I believe it's about parents' involvement as well, right? We need to realize that these kids, there are many articles, I wouldn't get into it because it's not my major, but that are advocates for non-specialization at early ages. We don't give children the opportunity to experience different sports, right? Swimming in itself is very difficult, and then the demands of it, where we as a coach strive for that chip on our shoulder to say we have made this 9 to 10 superstar, made this 11 to 12 superstar, then what? I mean, we have all seen it. I saw it growing up. There were some persons up to 11 to 12. Oh my gosh, you thought they'd have been Olympic superstars. Where are they now? They fell off. They still love swimming, but the sport took a toll on them. And we as the coaches, as funny as it sounds, and the parents are not paying you to be clowns, but we have to find a way to bring fun to the sport. Begin with the end in mind is a statement I used last week, a mantra. Bring out in these kids the persons you want them to be in the end. Don't have them doing these super hard workouts now. When they plateau off at 12, 13 years old, their muscles have been stunned. They have done all they can. Yes, they'll benefit from growth, and as they grow up, they'll get a little stronger. But let's try and set right foundations. We try to build mansions on top of little pieces of bamboo, right? And then we see it in the long run. As we get older, we stop making the finals besides the dropouts. Let's do what's right, set the right foundation. It's not about 10 100s fly on 130 all the time. It's not about building up that lactic all the time and just trying to tire out these kids, right? It's about finding ways that they can feel a part of the program, have fun doing it, socialization. I mean, even in the time where we're trying to social distancing, some kids come swimming for their friends. Try to find ways to make the workouts fun, all right? I thank you all again for tuning in, and this is my views on what a coach's conscience should be.
Right. Let's try that again. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. And if you look up on your screen, you will see Siobhan Cropper. Good evening, Siobhan.
Hi, good afternoon, Jason. How are you?
All right. And we also have Sherelle Thompson, who's here, our 2020 Olympic qualifier. Siobhan, first of all, I mean, it's honestly a pleasure to have you on here. I don't know when last you spoke to Trinidad and Tobago since you have from swimming. Is this
It's been a long time.
a long time?
Yeah.
Those who don't know Siobhan Cropper, 96, 2000 Olympian, World Championships finalist. You would have seen the promo, you would have seen all the accolades. Siobhan, how did this all start? How did you get involved in swimming?
My brother and my sister both swam at Flying Fish ahead of me, and they're about 10 years older than I am. So it was just sort of automatic that as a baby, a little girl, I would go to the pool with them. And I started and learned to swim at Flying Fish at probably 4 or 5 in a baby pool.
4 or 5 in the baby pool.
Mm-hmm.
And so moving on from that, how you transform from 4 and 5 in the baby pool to being on national teams?
I would say it was sort of a natural process. The beauty of age group swimming in Trinidad is that you go through the different age groups, and then you get to compete on a national level against other clubs, and then you have CRIF every year and CISC, and so then you start representing the country, and I guess you start going up to the different levels of swimming throughout the world.
Okay. Sherelle, you want to join in here?
Sure. Good night.
Hi.
It's
Good
very
night.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Curious to find out what your experience was like in age group swimming, representing the country, and what was the environment like being on a national team? Let's say the regional competitions and compared to your CSE and World Championship experiences.
Swimming representing the country was a blast. Age group swimming, there's nothing that's more fun than traveling with a bunch of other young kids all over the Caribbean and representing your country. That was an honor and a pride, and it was a lot of fun. And I think the transition to competing at more of a CAC level is a little more intense, and it gets a little more lonely because you don't have this big team. You know, I remember when we would travel for CAC, we'd be beating pan and drums, and it was just a really big camaraderie and spirit. And then as
Yes.
you go higher in competition levels, the teams get smaller and smaller, and
Right.
and you start being one of the only as you go on the international scale. That's what I mean.
Right. Was your mom ever one of the managers on the national team? And what was that experience like? Because when I started swimming, I was probably on 2 teams with her,
Mhm.
and she was a very no nonsense person. So there were swimmers who would like to be very mischievous during the night, and Miss Cropper would handle them. So what was that like for you? I mean, your mom being on the national team with you, what was that like?
It was great. It was great to have your biggest supporter with you at the majority of the times. I would say when I traveled on the national team, she was everybody's mom.
Right.
So I shared her national teams, but it was a wonderful experience to have her there in those moments.
Nice. And outside of swimming, last one, Jason, outside of your family, who would you say was your greatest influence or sort of inspiration during your career?
So, of course, my family, my mom, Vilma Cropper, my sister, Renee, my brother, Andre, my friends, Mario Macambo and Simon Rosales were critical to my support system growing up. But in terms of inspiration, I would say my coach Hayden Uwalo was really inspiring in the sense that he set that I was going, he had a vision that I would be, going to Stafford and be an Olympian before I even internalized it. And then you have like Paul Niwalo and Karen Diffenthaler that were Olympians that were
Right.
from my swim club. So I also had that in my head that it could be done because other people that were like me from my swim club had done it, had gone to the Olympics as well.
So you had the example. Nice.
So, Siobhan, do you remember that moment when you qualified for your first Olympics?
I actually do not. I think it was less eventful for me because the way that it was structured when I swam was that you had a B time, and the B time didn't mean that you automatically qualified. It meant that you'd be one of the people that names would go up to the Olympic Association to be considered.
Right.
So even when you made the B time, it didn't mean that you were going. So I think until that meeting, happened, and and they are told, okay, you made the Olympic team, then that was when I knew that I was going to be on the team officially.
So you didn't get a chance to have a feeling.
I was hopeful. It was exciting that I did the B time, but I think I was also aiming for the A time, so maybe I wasn't celebrating the B time in that moment because I was like, okay, I have to get the A time. I didn't get the A time, but I ended up representing the country.
So tell me about that first Olympics, the feeling, the experience. That 1996, how was that for you?
Yeah, I was relatively young. I think I was 16 or 17. So it was exciting, inspirational. I remember I was a little younger, so I was more like in awe, like Atto was on our team, and I was, walking around like, wow, Ian Mars, Atto, kind of like a little young. But it was an amazing experience for the reason that it was the highest level of sport, but yet I had a large team again, which is what you get to enjoy in age group swimming. But because it was an Olympic team, you had a big team behind you. So you had the track athletes, the football players, the hockey players, I believe, or maybe I'm mixing up the events. But yeah, you had a taekwondo, you had a lot of different Trinidad and Tobago athletes there. So there was a great camaraderie. So it was an amazing experience.
Similar to the Commonwealth and CSC Games, you have some disciplines there as well. Definitely more exciting. That's the World Championship, so it's just swimming.
Right. It's just you and maybe one other person.
Right. Speaking of, were you the only female, or were there other females when you qualified for, the CSC Games and Commonwealth Games?
So CAC Games, I believe there may have been another female from Trinidad and Tobago, maybe Carrie-Ann. I'm not 100% sure, but I know that Carrie-Ann Gibbs also went to the Olympics with me, that first Olympics.
Okay.
Siobhan, I'd like to ask this question. Did you, on the international stage, did you encounter any challenges as being a woman of color?
Absolutely. So I was not as a woman of color, but I was a woman of color that in a sport that's majority white on the international scale, right? So when I step on the pool deck, it's like I'm one of the only, So it's I stand out before I even dive in the water. I stand out, So yeah, that was it's lonely being one of the only, But I mean, it was also an honor and a privilege to be there and to also be a role model for all the other little kids that look like me and say, oh, wow, if she can do it, I can do it too. So,
so you took it more as an opportunity, like this is your moment to represent your community, represent your ethnicity and the gender as well, as opposed to, cowering because of it.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yes, and Siobhan, I remember you trained alongside with Leah Martindale. Yes, and she used to reside in Trinidad at the time. How was that experience?
That was a great experience. Leah was an amazing human being, just friend.
Right.
So that was, and it was great to sort of have somebody to train with that's at a really world-class level.
Right.
So I was pretty lucky to have that. Well, I think we were both lucky to have each other, that within the Caribbean, somebody that you can actually train with and compete with at that level. So that was amazing. She represented Barbados, I represented Trinidad, but it was Caribbean.
I think there was at the World Championships where both of you all got into a final, correct?
Yes, I believe that was Sweden. I don't remember. Sweden short course world championships. I don't remember. Yeah, but yeah.
It may have been the first time two black women were in a final, I believe.
Yes, definitely.
You remember, was there any buzz? Was there anything at the time because of that?
I remember that I met the Stanford University swim coach at that event. I think it stood out to the swimming community the global swimming community at that point. And that was when I met the swim coach the team that I ended up going to for university. So yeah.
So I guess it opened doors.
It did, yeah.
Sherelle, you want to chime in anything?
Yeah, so names you mentioned Liam Martindale. You also mentioned Carrie Ann Gibbs, Sangeeta Puri, and Raquel James, I believe is another name that I've heard many times growing up as a young athlete in the sport. But I have no idea who these people are. So you would have trained with some of them, competed with some of them. Could you tell us about what training and competing was like in Trinidad and Tobago around that time?
So Raquel is a little bit older than me. I believe she's my sister's age, but so I was probably a little girl, probably looking up to her, and flying for swim club. And I believe she went to Howard University. She was a little bit older than me. So I don't really remember maybe being in the same pool, but not necessarily training with her. But I actually met her in Atlanta a few years ago, and she looks the same. She looks younger than me. So, and Sangeeta Puri, I believe Sangeeta was American who came and joined the Piranha Swim Club when I was maybe 12 or 13. I believe she came and she joined and started representing Trinidad then. And that was great because at that point at that age it didn't feel great, but in retrospect, I can see how because she was good, she was real competition for me on a local level, that it actually raised my level of swimming to the point that, that I probably would not have risen to that level had I not had that competition in the pool.
Gotcha. So she was the only one that you would have trained with, but that interaction you're saying would have been one that helped you to be better, to rise to a level.
Yeah, so back in the day, I don't know what the swimming community is like now, but back then competition was fierce. People took it really seriously.
That's what I want to hear about. I'm sure, like people my age and younger, it would be really good for us to hear like what the environment of swimming was like, because I remember I loved hearing stories from my coach when I was younger about what it was like back in the day, the clubs that were always going head to head, or like the swimmers that were going head to head. So anything that you remember from the top of your head, please share with us.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. I mean, looking back, we were like 12, 13, 14. And I remember like being in Flying Fish, we had a big team of really young kids all the way from 8 to 16. And we trained like twice a day, 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, plus dry land. When we got to competitions, we were very, very goal oriented at a really young age, which is fascinating now to look back on. So everybody had a goal. I remember there were these 4 girls that were a little bit younger than me, and they were going to go to the Olympics and they were going to swim fly, back, breast, and freestyle. I think it was Shona Thompson, Lizanne Douglas, Michelle Daly.
Oh, some other names. Some other names.
Yeah, and Ava Badal, swimming the fly. Yeah, and so it was like we were really, really intense at that age, but I think we really loved the sport. as much as it was really intense and a lot of swimming, we really set goals and we were excited working towards those goals together at such a young age. And I really think I was talking to Lizanne and some of the and I still talk to Ava and Lizanne. And you know, they really talk about how instrumental those years of swimming were to the women that they are today, to the professional women that they are today, and how, you know, the lessons that they learned at such a young age through sport, like, allows them to be successful in their life today, you know? So.
Thank you for sharing that. When I was younger, when I just started swimming, I would say competition was definitely more intense than it is now, more fierce than it is now. And so some of what you described, I would have experienced like very early on, and then things don't look the same right now in swimming.
Okay, ladies, we have to take we have a segment coming up called Dryland Dimensions. So we're just going to take that in for a minute and we're going to come right back.
Okay.
Welcome back to another episode of Dryland Dimensions with me, Azijo. And in this week's episode, we're going to be discussing different ways to program for swimmers. The first step in creating a successful training program is firstly assessing the sport. So you're going to look at the major muscles that are involved, the movement patterns that are involved, the energy systems needed, and of course, we cannot forget common injuries. Once your needs analysis is completed, you should have a base on at least where to start in developing a training program. Today's workout video, I'm going to be using resistance bands and we're going to be looking at muscles in the upper body and ways that we could strengthen it since they are at risk for overuse injuries. Similar to equipment in the gym, resistance band can cause injury once used incorrectly, so minors should be supervised once they are using it. So let's go.
Good evening again. So we have, let me unmute you all. So we have on screen with us Sean Cropper, a two-time Olympian, as was back in the day. All some people know Siobhan Cropper right now is that she's a name on a program when we have all those national records. And I think it's important that to connect. And I mean, Sherelle is there. Sherelle recently stole one of your records. How you feel about that, Siobhan?
It's fantastic. Records are there to be broken. I was really happy to hear that. And congratulations.
Thank you. You set the bar high, and I was elated to have broken the record. But I looked up to you even before I met you.
Siobhan, I'm gonna let out some of Sherelle business here now because we were talking before, and she saw the program. She thought it was interesting, and Sherelle, she doesn't like to come on TV. We talking plain, and said, Jason, the only time I will come is if I get Siobhan Cropper in 2 weeks. Yeah, because she really wanted to have that.
And you didn't like literally 2 days after you sent me a message saying, okay, here's the date.
So, Siobhan, what kind of training, what was your training regimen like? I know it would have changed over the time, but give us an idea. Say to the Olympic cycle.
For the Olympic cycle, I think not a lot changed from the age of 12 to 22, to be quite honest.
Really?
It was pretty much swimming twice a day. I mean, swimming 6 days a week, and during the week, twice a day, 3 days a week. So double days on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then Saturday morning training. So it's 2 hours before school, 2 hours after school, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays you just have 2 hours after school plus an hour of dry land, and Saturday morning you have 3 hours, usually 2 hours of swimming and 1 hour of dry land. It sounds intense now saying it because my exercise routine has a lot less now, but yeah, that's what it was, you know. But I mean, I did that for such a long time since I was 12, so it was just, you know, once you get into a routine, you just sort of fall in and you don't really question the intensity of routine because it just feels normal and natural. So when I got to college, that was the schedule, and it was just, you know, you go to practice, you go to school, you come back, you do homework, and so that was my life for a long period of time.
Did you feel like you missed anything in life? Like missed out on fun stuff?
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, you don't get to achieve, you know, big things without making sacrifices. That
Right.
is, you know, just part and parcel of setting any big goal, you know. I always say a real test of a goal is what you willing to sacrifice for it, right? If you're not sacrificing something in pursuit of a goal, then your goal isn't ambitious enough. You know, so for sure, you know, there were parties that I couldn't go to because I had practice. There was a ton that I missed, but there was also so much that I gained, you know, being able to travel the world, being able to get a scholarship to university. I mean, my mother's a school teacher, so, you know, I would never have afforded a Stanford University scholarship, you know. Stanford University education was not within, you know, the average Trinity's parent, you know, economic capacity to pay for. You know, it's like it's US
Right.
dollars, it's expensive even for American families. So that is quite a privilege and an honor for a local athlete to be able to get a academic scholarship to a great institution.
I'm glad
Okay.
you shared that because that's actually one of the things that came out of the survey. Reasons why some of our swimmers left the sport because of a lack of social life, as it were. But you know, being able to hear what you would have accomplished, the things you would have, the opportunities you would have been afforded because of the sacrifices you made in the sport of swimming. I would say it's worth it, and my own experience as well. I would say it's definitely worth it. But one question I think,
It's like you have
um,
to do it. You know, as a child, you can't really see that because all you can focus on is like what your peers are doing. But as an, you know, and I think that's where the responsibility comes into the parents to really like push. You know, my mom was critical in making sure that I didn't go to that party before some meet. You know,
yeah,
and so I do think that, you know, you're from a parental perspective, your kids will not like you when they're teenagers and you're saying that they can't do certain things, but they will love you and be so appreciative when they're adults and they realize that that was just, you know, they weren't mature enough as teenagers to make those decisions.
yeah. A lot of swimmers now are able to look back and say, these are the things that if I had known when I was that age, when I was younger, I'm sure I would have been able to be more successful and gone further in the sport of swimming. So hearing it is really helpful for younger swimmers who are listening.
Yes. And actually, I might put my own plug for my program next week because next week, one of the things we actually do have is an ex swimmer having a chat with their parents and
Nice.
discussing things they wish they had said, things they wish they had done, things they wish they had listened to. So I advise people and parents and swimmers to tune in for that next. Siobhan, any regrets?
Um, Regrets? No, not really. Wish I had really enjoyed more, appreciated what I was going through when I was going through it, you know, like traveling the world, is something that I did. Swimming allowed me to do, to go to different swim meets, and I just sort of figured, oh well, yeah, this is just part and parcel of it. But I didn't really realize, oh wow, you're in Italy, for a national swimming championships.
Right.
Like, like not every 14-year-old gets to go to Italy for free on, to compete, or you go to Brazil for a championship, so I wish that I had more understanding of what an honor and a privilege that would be, and I probably may not ever get to do that again in life.
Right. So enjoy the journey is the message.
Exactly. Enjoy the journey.
I want to ask you something somewhat swimming related. Now, we have seen escalation in the use of technical suits and by age groupers as well. You have 8 and under, 9 to 10 using these technical suits. Do you have an opinion on that? If it's necessary?
Well, I think it depends on, personally, my personal perspective is that, it's a sort of an unfair bias, right? That wasn't around when in my day per se. Having a technical suit didn't give you an advantage, and in this day and age, it's an unfair advantage because then it becomes a socioeconomic advantage. So, can your parents afford the suit? And I think that that's unfair in the sport. That it shouldn't be an economic thing. But I think at the age group level, probably unnecessary. At the international level, when you're competing against other people in the world that have it, and you don't want to be at a disadvantage. But at the age group level, probably not.
You might want to repeat that to the parents at the back.
Yes,
used elsewhere to help their athletes in their mental development throughout their age group years.
and as she mentioned, the mental part. How did you prepare mentally for meets? You had a routine.
Mm-hmm.
How did you prepare mentally?
I was a pretty intense kid. Well, a lot of it was visualization.
Right.
We were actually taught that very young. I think we did visualization in time for swim club when I was like 9 or 10.
Right.
We started visualizing. So we would, visualization, for people who don't know what that is, it's like, you close your eyes and you imagine, you go through the entire race in your head. So you imagine yourself, you close your eyes, you imagine yourself getting in the back of the blocks, take your marks, go, you see yourself swimming every single stroke, touch, you see the results you want. And so I think that sort of that mental process calms you before the race. And it also, now there's that scientific data to show that it actually helps you, and it actually makes, you actually get some level of muscle memory from that, just that mental process. So it was critical. I even use it today for like career stuff. If I have a big meeting that I prepare for, I visualize success in the meeting. I think about what I'm going to say in my head,
Nice.
So you're able to translate that to everything in life. Even if, I was talking to my husband, and he said that even like some of the top surgeons in the world, before they actually do a surgery, they would visualize. That is part of like, they would visualize, the surgery of what they're going to do. And so when they get into that operating room, it's natural. So I do think visualization is critical at this, I started at age level, so it's never too early to start.
Thank you, Siobhan. I have one request. Can you give us 10 minutes?
Sure.
Right, because we actually reached the 9 o'clock hour, and
yeah,
we have the most viewers we have ever had. We have a lot of people tuning, a lot of former swimmers. I'm seeing Chantal McLean, I'm seeing Stefan Otley, and a lot of people are watching for a while. So we can patronize us to a little bit more.
Sure.
Sherelle, you have anything you want to ask Siobhan?
Yeah, if we have more time, I will actually go back to your college career, especially for younger swimmers who might be listening. When I was talking with some younger swimmers a few weeks ago, their questions were all about my college career. So you being a former Stanford athlete, tell us a little bit about what your college career was like, what the training was like, competition. And I remember for me it being a stark difference from competition being a stark difference from what competition was like in Trinidad. So what was that like for you? All about college swimming.
College swimming is the most fun 4 years you'll have of your life, honestly. It was really, that's when swimming really turned into a team sport. I loved it. I mean, I actually enjoyed going to practice. It was hard, but I was around so many self-motivated women that were aspiring to great things that it just felt, it was one of the few times that I didn't feel odd for being intense and to being really focused and to having swimming be my whole life, because it was for everybody else too. And that was their upbringing. So I loved it. And it was also a lot of fun. You got to support your teammates. You got to travel with a swim team. College is fun. You're away from home. We act responsibly, but it's a lot of fun.
Nice. What was NCAA racing like? You would have finaled there and medaled?
Yeah, we get, I think, like little trophies. Yeah, so NCAA is pretty intense.
Medals, you're right.
Yeah, it's a pretty intense competition. It was fun, being part of, I think I was a team of 11 women my freshman year, and we won the championship. And that was one of my fondest memories of swimming, because it was really intense, but we set huge goals, and we worked towards it as a team. And I think I swam harder and I put more effort into it because I didn't want to disappoint my teammates, and because I knew I was part of this. There were so many other people counting on me. So it was, you really competed at one of the highest levels, because a lot of people at the NCAA end up going to be Olympians for their different countries. So it's a sort of a microcosm of the Olympic level swimming.
That's true.
Siobhan, I know you had a lot of different meets, etc. What do you think was your most memorable ones?
I know everybody will think it's got to be Olympics, but I think one of my most memorable moments was short course national swimming championships when I was like 12 or 13 years old. And that championship, I broke every single record on the programs. I think 12 events, and I broke all 12. And but the reason why it was memorable is because it was a team effort. Like everybody on my team and flying was behind me and to do it. And so it really was like a team effort, even though I was the one breaking the records. All the people that I trained with was so instrumental to my success. The coaches that were there, we had dryland coaches, we had Mr. Mason, we had so many parents that were part of the support system and the athletes. So it was, that was a fun for me as well.
And Siobhan, Sportswoman of the Year, swimming got TNT Sportswoman of the Year 4 times. Women was put on the national stage. Siobhan Cropper. How was the achievement? The Sportswoman of the Year 4 times. And also inducted into the TNT Sports Hall of Fame.
I think the first time was the most memorable, because I remember like sitting, I'd been nominated many times and I hadn't gotten it. So I remember like they announced the like sportsman and it was Brian Lara, and then they announced the sportswoman, and then like they said my name, and I was just kind of sitting in the stands dazing off. And then people started turning around to look at me, and I was like, why is everybody looking? And then I was like, oh, it was me. Okay. And so I remember that first time because it was a big deal, because I think Brian had won the and I was just in convents. I think I was in standard form 4 at that point. So that was quite an honor, and it's also cool to meet all the other Trinidad and Tobago athletes again at like that stage. So you got to meet cricketers, you got to meet like everybody, cyclists, all the different athletes who were at the top of their sport. So that was actually a really nice meeting all the other people that were representing Trinidad that you may not have ever passed. They may not have gone to Olympics or CSC, but so it was really a nice way to sort of build a community within the Trinidad and Tobago sporting community.
Okay, Sherelle, do you have any final questions you want to ask Siobhan? This is it. Don't worry, this won't be the last opportunity. But
final question. Yeah, I would ask one that's more relevant. Like, At this present time, what role does swimming play in your life?
Swimming is still my go-to activity for relaxation for sports. If I'm having a really, really, really bad day, swimming is the one thing that sort of calms me, and puts me in a better mood. I remember being like 10 months pregnant, and I was like, I have to go to a pool right now, you know? Um, and so swimming plays an instrumental role. It always will, because I love swimming. You know, beyond just competing. I like feeling the water flowing past your body. I mean, I love the sport. So it's always going to be an important role. And my 3-year-old now is starting to learn to swim. So that's
I
also
was just
exciting.
gonna ask that. Do your kids know how to swim? And
My
is that
3-year-old is started to learn to swim, yes.
nice?
And Siobhan, my final question. We have a lot of current national swimmers, parents, a lot of people tuned in. And we'll be looking at this when it's rebroadcasted as well. What message would you like to send to Trinidad and Tobago athletes?
I would say, shoot for big goals. I think sports is a vehicle to amazing life beyond high school. I would encourage the parents to push their kids, because teenagers are teenagers. They're emotional. They feel like doing things some days and don't, and sometimes you do need that parental infrastructure to force things sometimes when the kids just don't feel like doing it. Because like I remember, like, a teenage girl was like, my hair, like that's a very superficial reason to stop swimming, because your hair is not looking good, or your shoulders are getting too big. That is like the most ridiculous. Those are the things that are important to a teenager, right? So,
It does affect them,
so
yeah.
I don't think, so I do think that parents and coaches have to really instill in the kids, like, why are you swimming, right? You're swimming, yes, because it helps you be fit, but you're also swimming because there's a lot of life lessons you learned in sports. CXC is also not a reason to stop swimming. It's a reason to maybe pull back a bit and focus more and prioritize your education. But even when you get to college or you're in a career, you need to be able to balance. And even, like, colleges look at applicants. You can get straight A's all the way through high school. You don't have an extracurricular activity. To a top university in the world, you're a less attractive candidate, right? They want balance, on your application, on your resume. So I would encourage people to keep into the sports, keep encouraging the teenagers and athletes, even when they don't feel like doing it anymore. I don't feel, push them. They'll be grateful for it when they get older and they're more mature and they look back.
Siobhan, I would like to really thank you for the time that you took to come and speak with us. I mean, it was really. Sherelle, you probably should thank her, because
I,
of that name.
I would love to. Siobhan, you have said something, shared some information, some insight, given some really good advice over this tonight's segment. It was my first time meeting you live and on air, and for everyone else to hear. But I really do believe Trinidad and Tobago needs to hear more from you, and getting to hear more of your experiences and all of the advice that you would give to help encourage young athletes as they go through different phases and challenges that we have to overcome. But hearing you, the most successful female swimmer out of Trinidad and Tobago, hearing you shed light on some of the challenges that many young athletes face right now, I think it will really be inspiring to help the future success of sport in Trinidad and Tobago. So thank you on behalf of this, and thank you on behalf of all of the viewers listening. Thank you on behalf of Chlorine Callaloo.
Happy to chat anytime. Cheryl on here.
And thank you, Sherelle, for coming on. I mean, I hope in a few years, Siobhan, I will invite you to interview Sherelle when she goes to her Olympics.
Absolutely. I'll be there cheering you on.
Right. Tickets hold you to that, so you better get your ticket fast.
I will. Let me know.
So
And Jason, you can connect Cheryl and I so we can talk.
I will do that. She's waiting for a door. No, really, thank you. I mean, 2-time Olympian, 4-time Sportswoman of the Year, TNT Hall of Fame, World Championships finalist, the list goes on. Honestly, you're a role model to athletes, you're a role model for women in sport. I mean, I'm glad they got to put a face to the name. I hope when they see Siobhan properly, it's a lot more than just some black and white. But I mean, there's a lot of character behind it, and you have done immensely for Trinidad and Tobago, and we will stay in contact. And I hope sometime we can have you on Chlorine Callaloo.
Absolutely. Thanks again. Good night, everyone.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Siobhan. This is it for this episode of Chlorine Callaloo. Join us next week, and you can stay tuned to the page. Follow us on Instagram. You can see what's coming up next week on Chlorine Callaloo. Have a good night.